welcome to this new episode of the Alex Show. Today is episode 328 from June the 10th of the year 2024. Today is a Monday, and today I'm a little bit late to the party, but I'm gonna do two shows on the brilliance of Terrence Howard. On Terrence Howard, it's pretty well known that Terrence Howard was on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast last month. I believe it was around mid-May, so I'm like a month late to the party. And for me, it was sheer brilliance. I'm going to start with that. The 3 hours and 9 minutes were amazing. I already watched it 3 times. I'm probably going to keep rewatching it because every time, like with a good book, with a good movie, with a good, talk even with friends and that, every time you redo it, there's new stuff that you figure out. That's why my wife doesn't understand me when I sometimes have my own library of movies and that, and I rewatch some great movies because I say every time I watch it, it's a different spin, a different angle, and I figure a few stuff out. Because we have so much information to go through, I'm gonna go right ahead. I'm just gonna say my opinion. I think Terrence Howard is a brilliant man. He's obviously extremely bright, but that for me is not the special thing. He's accessing something different called the divine wisdom. He's using certainly his divine connection, his own compass, to figure out this stuff. The bright part is he's able to explain it much better than any of us. But I believe, it's very important that I mention that. I truly believe the potential of the human being when we access our wisdom is going to be this and more, okay? That's why we're going to be able to create things, and they're going to seem like magic, seem like impossible, that they are so effortless, that they are so beautiful in their design, because we're going to mimic more nature, mimic more the universe, and mimic less our mind or knowledge and what we call right now mainstream technology or science. I have no problem at all with mainstream science. I'm an engineer myself. I'm a mechanical engineer, so I adopted in a way through my life the scientific method. I share many times that from a few years now, I only go to the 4th step of the scientific method, which is theory. So I'm fine with all of us having theories, but for the one that says, no, this is a law, which is the 5th step, which usually involves peer review, which usually involves validation from other scientists. But they, in a way, at the end, it's a popularity contest because they basically do the same or similar experimentation, come to a similar result, so it has to be a law, okay? And I disagree. That doesn't mean anything. At the end, what Terrence Howard is bringing to the table is he's challenging the mainstream, okay? He's challenging our way of thinking. He's enabled to be able to counteract whatever Terrence Howard said on those 3 hours and 9 minutes. You have to go beyond mainstream knowledge. If you try to counteract it with mainstream knowledge, of course, you're going to ridiculize Terrence Howard, but if you are not understanding the limited view, the limitations you're imposing in yourself by not going out there with him. This is such an opportunity for scientists to go out there, to finally leave the limitations or the flat thinking we have, like he says, this very limited, very primitive way, because the technology we have is so far behind that technology that we can develop with universal wisdom that is clean, that is in tune with nature, in tune with the universe, using the principles of the universe, like Terrence is trying to explain, which he does an excellent job in explaining that. That's the brightness. He's an extremely bright man. Extremely. He probably has to be one of the brightest man alive. I personally put it up there with Harald Klaus Vela, which has also that gift of being able to explain so difficult and extremely high-level stuff out there in the universe. And Harald does a very good job, and I had the luck to interview him. I'm always going to keep, I don't need to promote it because it's probably one of our episodes that keeps the channel going. Episode 51, episode 52, interview with Harald Klaus Vela, part 1 and part 2. Okay, so if you haven't seen that, that's the show that keeps getting views and views and views. I know 10, 15. And when I check the analytics, it's always, both parts are always up there, because it was not that me as a host, it was a good interview. I barely was able to keep up with Harold, barely. Okay, it was him, the sheer brilliance. Okay, and I don't know if it's impossible, but if I ever had a chance to even talk to Terrence Howard, I will appreciate it the same as I had the chance to talk to Harold. Just brilliance. But it's not through the brilliance that we get that divine wisdom. That's just having the ability to explain it kind of in layman terms here to us limited humans. So without further ado, I prepared, you probably have been with me for a while. I sometimes do this type of presentation type information. So I'm going to go to several bullets of what I find most interesting from the 3 hours and 9 minutes. I prepared already the show differently. I had my very good friend Tony from London. We went through some videos of the actual podcast. Unfortunately, that was not. I don't want to go into that much. Honestly, it was quite frustrating, but it was not accepted. Okay, let's just leave it at that. If you are a creator in YouTube, you know what I mean. The video was not accepted, so I had to redo the show now on my own, and I'm gonna use this. There's no support videos, and it's just the bullets from the actual interview. However, I'm going to include on the show notes, on the video notes, the link to the Terrence Howard Experience podcast to the Joe Rogan Experience podcast with Terrence Howard. In case you haven't seen it, in case you cannot find it, it's extremely easy. If you just put on YouTube Terrence Howard Joe Rogan, you're gonna, it's the first result. But just click on go to the videos, click on the link, you're gonna be taken right there, 3 hours and 9 minutes. At the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the podcast, Terrence speaks about the Palace of Wisdom. I want to speak a little bit about that. He shares, if I remember correctly, that it was through dreams that he will go to this palace. And he, for example, would be having kind of lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is the reference that you understand you're dreaming. So he shared he will be in school dreaming, that he was in school, but he will say, I'm not in school, I'm dreaming. So I'm not going to go into lucid dreaming that much, but it's a common thing with people that explain lucid dreaming, which is a different thing from astral travel. I want to clarify, which, by the way, there's a show coming in a month. I have so much inventory to clear. Sorry about that. There's a show coming on astral travel. So I hope you enjoy that one. It's coming mid-July. And it's a different thing. Lucid dreaming is understanding and controlling the dream in a way. It's a pretty interesting, pretty neat thing to do that, I'm dreaming, so I have the chance to tap into my dream state. And he will go into this Palace of Wisdom that he will see. You need to watch the podcast. He will talk about shapes and things and understand things in a way. What I believe is he was connecting with the universal wisdom. Okay. If it's a palace, if it's not, it comes different to every one of us. This is similar to connecting to the out there, to the universe, to the creation. Some say they hear voices, some say they hear their own voice. Some have visions, some have dreams, some have implanted wisdom. I don't want to call it knowledge because it's coming from the universe. It's not knowledge, it's wisdom. It's not that you are special. No, we're all special. We're all part of the creation. We're all part of the oneness. We are all equal to Terrence Howard. Okay, it's just a potential. Okay, and in this case of Terrence, the brightness and just the sheer humility and the sheer, beautifulness of being able to explain this stuff. But this Palace of Wisdom is where he, as a child, by the way, will go in his dreams and tap a lot of these things. So that's the first one I wanted to talk about. The way I feel it is just he was accessing his divine connection. We all have access to that. The second one was talking to your higher self. He said that at the time he didn't understand the voice, he didn't recognize the voice, but then now he knows that the voice is his voice now as an adult. So he thinks he was talking, or he confirms he was talking to his higher self. Yes, our higher self is always available for us. Okay, it's a universal support system that we have, and it's through our guide group. And I honestly feel 1,000% that our higher self is the leader of our guide group. Okay, it has other guides there, but who better to talk to you than your best version of the future, your best version that has transcended all these densities, all these dimensions, however way you want to call it. I'm not going to go into that on this show, but that has transcended all these experiences and is just in a better place, is totally aligned with creation, and has returned home, has returned to origin, has returned to creation. That's your higher self. So yes, in a way, the way that Terrence speaks about that is exactly like that. It's not that, hey, I'm going to give you the goods, I'm going to do things for you. That doesn't sound so right. Is that the higher self will guide you. He's a guide. Your own higher self is a guide that will take you this and show you, but you have to decide to embrace it like Terrence has done, because he clearly has embraced his divine wisdom. That's why he's able to talk about this stuff. Third bullet. Oh, this was so controversial. 1 times 1 is not 1, of course. He was talking about something different. If you take him semantically, and if you go into your calculator or your computer or your cell phone, or just basically go to a math book, elementary school math book, 1 times 1, of course, equals 1. Okay, and that's why if you wanna do a rebuttal. You really, first of all, I think the only way for someone to even try to debunk Terence Howard is to have him on his show, his or her show. That's the only way. Okay, if you try to go with the mainstream, of course, because he's talking something way more advanced than mainstream. Okay, he's talking next level or multiple levels above this primitive system, this linear, this flat system we have. Immediately when I heard that on the podcast, I got it. Yes, of course, 1 times 1. You cannot multiply something times something. It doesn't matter the number, and then get the same result. You're adding to, okay? So for me, it came visually. 1 in length, 1 in height. So only have a square, so it's not 1, okay? Doesn't matter about the number. It matters about the concept, okay? What he's trying to say, that we are linear. We're always thinking linearly. We're flat. They gave us, he says, we were given a system. And of course, it makes all the sense in the world. Because if the ones giving us the system, it doesn't matter. This is not the show to talk about their aliens, no. Whoever gave us the system, if they were more advanced, they knew the true essence of this technology, they will give us the basic one. So we stay basic, so they can control us better. It makes all the sense in the world that you are not going to give someone else the goods, the pearls, right out of the gate. You're going to give them the small stuff. And you're going to deceive them to think there's going to be a veil to think that that's all it is. So some people say, oh, technology right now, we're so advanced. My God, we're so basic, we're so primitive, we're so limited. But it's up to you to see it, because you have to open to something else, which is your divine connection. You have to open to the universe. You have to open of billions, trillions, and an infinite number of other races that are way advanced than us. And more advanced means better in a way, or in the spectrum of development, in the spectrum of maturity, understanding the laws of the universe, respecting the laws of the universe, developing technology that works with the universe, is not against the universe, like nuclear energy, which is destruction. It's attempted destruction of matter. I get so excited with nuclear energy because some people think it's so great and it's the energy of destruction. Of course, it's going to give you heat, but it's horrible heat, it's horrible energy. That's why if you're close to a core and the core is open, you die immediately in 5 seconds, 2 seconds. Okay, if it was so good, it shouldn't be harming anyone. You shouldn't be needing a dosimeter when you work in a nuclear plant, and rotation and checking your health all the time, because that's horrible. It's a horrible way to get energy. It's the worst possible way of getting energy. Okay, so 1 times 1, of course, is not 1, but in this space motion driven system, not in this flat static current technology we have, current science we have, which is extremely basic. So you have to break the mold, and then you can understand why Howard is saying 1 times 1 is not 1. Okay, so I'm not going to get as passionate. If not, we're going to be here all day, and I want to do a short episode. So 4 bullet. I'm so passionate about this subject. Gravity, of course, is an electrical force. We always have been instructed, and I remember in a very fun way, a physics teacher from high school, that he said, we have an elephant, there's no gravity. How much force he has, how much weight? And he says, none. Without gravity, it doesn't matter the mass. He doesn't pull something like that. So what he was trying in this very basic example, and I remember at the beginning I didn't get it. I mean, an elephant is an elephant. He's huge. He has a lot of power. Without gravity, he has nothing. He will float. He will stay like that, There's no force. The force is created by gravity. It doesn't matter about the mass. It matters about the weight, which is a different thing. Weight is mass with the gravity constant, which, by the way, gravity is constant. That's BS, okay? They simplify it and assume it, like all our science and technology has a lot of assumptions, a lot of simplifications built into it. Again, because stuff they cannot understand, like gravity, because I still don't understand how in the year 2024 we don't have a definition of gravity. We just say it's a force. It's coming from somewhere. We see its effects, but we don't know what it is. It's an electrical force. And let me explain again. I'm not passing truth here. These are my intuitions, same as Terence. My intuitions, my feelings, but for years now, that gravity is an electrical force, and that's why we're in an electrical universe. That's very important. They go together, and it's the motion of planets, and that's why planets are spheres, because they have a core, and then they have the rest of the mantle, or whatever you want to call it, and they work together, moving, and that creates that magnetism, like a generator, creates gravity. Is that we have a gravity creation system in the center of the Earth. Okay, Because gravity is what allows life. Without gravity, there wouldn't be any life. Okay. So it's the universe being perfect, nature being perfect in its ways. Okay. So we want to see physical effects of gravity, and we want to demonstrate gravity as a physical force. When we don't open ourselves, and I'm talking about science and the Neil deGrasse Tysons and all that. I'm going to talk about him in a second. We don't open to say, hey, this is coming from something else. How about we analyze the electrical element of it? Okay, they don't. They just say it's a force, and we can measure it, but we cannot say where it's coming from. Of course, it's coming from the Earth. Of course, okay. So, very important concept that Terence Howard shared. Gravity is an electrical force, okay, and it's all over the universe, being the interaction between the eternal, perpetual motion of everything with everything. And it's part of the process of the eternal, unlimited energy of the universe that is love, and is the love of the Creator. Okay, that's why He gave the universe everything. That's why planets and mountains and volcans and seas and that, they don't need to create energy like humans do, or even nature. They don't need to create energy. Everything just works. Why? Because energy is available to all of us. It's the gift of the Creator. And gravity is part of that process. It's the interaction between two elements, okay, in the universe that are in eternal motion. Nothing is static ever in the universe. Everything is moving. We are moving right now, even if you don't feel it. That's a different thing. You don't feel like you're moving, but you are moving, trust me, throughout the universe, okay? The Earth is moving, the solar system is moving, the Milky Way galaxy is moving, other galaxies are moving with other galaxies. Everything is perpetual motion. And the gravity potential, let's just call it that, because some say, why something that has huge mass has less gravity attraction than something with little mass? Well, because it's the electrical potential between the two elements, okay? So we all want to simplify. That's why gravity, we put it a constant. And then if weight is mass times gravity, then it becomes the concept that, you know, the bigger the mass, the bigger the weight, the bigger the gravity potential. Really? Does it work that way? I'm not sure about that. Okay, let's go to the next bullet, or we'll be here all day. We live in an electrical universe, of course, but why do we get the push that we live in a chemical universe? Because in chemistry, in a chemical universe, energy will be to be created, and energy will be a potential. So that's why we go by the fact that, for example, there's this law, that the law of conservation of energy, that, you know, you cannot get more energy from a system that it already has. It will be inventing energy in a way. That's the way it wants. That's a very linear, primitive way. That's what I'm trying to say. And Einstein pushed it and said, he went ahead and said, throughout the universe, I get to a conclusion that the law of conservation of energy applies. How is the universe in perpetual motion? You know, if it's limited in its energy, it has to create energy constantly, and you cannot get more energy from a system that it already has. Okay, just imagine how much energy it takes to be in constant motion, all the planets and all that. Well, no one questioned it. No one questioned it. And actually, 90% or more of people in the world still believe Einstein is the brightest person alive. For me, I don't want to say anything, okay? Not even close. Terence Howard is way more brilliant than him. Okay. So, of course, we live in an electrical universe, but of course, that's kept from us because that will change everything. That will immediately say, oh, so energy is all around us in an electrical form. How about we tap into it? And it's infinite, so we're not, and it's clean, and it's nature given, it's universal given, it's creation given. So what's wrong with that? Okay. I shared this story many times. It's in the Harold Klaus-Vela, I believe, part 2. I'm going to go back and check it because I constantly talk about this story. That Harold told me on recording that there was this person in Mexico City that his son was sick with a kidney problem. So he needed a dialysis machine, which needs energy. And we're probably talking years ago, 20, 30 years ago, when the electrical system in Mexico City, I know in Mexico in general, there will be a lot of blackouts, okay? So apparently, the father concerned that every time there was a blackout, the dialysis machine would stop, and probably his son will get into some kind of health problem. You know, if he's not in the dialysis machine, probably it was a very bad case of kidney problems. He developed a system by putting a motorcycle upside down. So imagine it, visualize it. A normal motorcycle upside down, the rear wheel, through sheer divine wisdom. He didn't know what he was doing, of course. He started making some dents in it. Probably came to his intuition, his divine connection. It has to be divine. Nothing was a calculation or anything like that or equation. Okay. So he made some dents, and then he started spinning the wheel, and the wheel will spin forever, powering a generation, or probably through a shaft or something like that. He will move a generator that will power, with some other systems or something, he will generate electricity for the dialysis machine forever and free and clean. So there was some interest from the scientific community to go investigate this machine because they felt maybe there was some centripetal force there. No, nothing was about that. At the end, it didn't work. These Newtonian forces, of course, the conservation of energy applies there. Okay, of course. So they went, and it was nothing through that. The conclusion, and Carl said, that one of the scientists, or I don't know if it was a consensus or something like that it was the sheer love of the Father powering the wheel in constant motion forever. The sheer love of the Father for the Son. So imagine that and put that in universal terms. The sheer love of our Father, that creation, that creator, that oneness, that unity, that everything, for all its beings. And I'm not talking only of humans, I'm not talking only of Pleiadians, I'm not talking, no, everything, a rock, a mountain, a planet, a galaxy, doesn't matter. All that sheer love is the energy available in the universe, okay? And that Father just replicated the creator-given love. That's why we live in an electrical universe, not with abundant energy, with infinite energy. And it's all love. So imagine, it's clean, it's beautiful, it's what we are supposed to use. But we are going to discover it, thanks to people like Terence Howard, thanks to people with the brilliance of Terence Howard. Neil deGrasse Tyson, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm being too harsh. I know there are some fans out there because they think he's so smart. Yeah, okay. Sure, he has studied a lot. Of course, the first thing, let's assume I have the chance to talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's never going to talk to me because I'm no one, okay? Because that's what happens with scientists. The first thing they do is who I'm talking to, okay? They don't care what I have to say. They don't care what kind of information or knowledge I have. They care, who am I? What are my credentials? Is this guy, does he have a degree? Does he have a doctorate? Is there any university that sponsored him or can vouch for him? Is this one of my peers knows about this guy? No. That's why on the podcast, Terence Howard shared that he contacted Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he replied back with some comments saying, you will have to take it with someone else. I'm not interested in talking to you anymore. And I say he's useless because he could be bright and that, but I know he's not using his divine connection. I know he's not using his divine wisdom because of the way he talks, the way he behaves, and the sheer arrogance of a scientist, the sheer arrogance. And we just went through this a few years ago. Okay, I'm not going to go into what happened. We all know. But it was that, hey, are you a doctor? Hey, are you an astrophysicist? He will ask Neil deGrasse. Hey, who are you? I'm an engineer. I don't care about that. Everyone is an engineer. Billions are engineers, so I don't care about that. Are you an astrophysicist? Have you investigated the universe as I have? Then shut up, because you don't know what you're talking about. That will be his response. That's why he's useless. If I will see any opening of him saying, hey, maybe there's something into it. There is no evidence, but maybe there's something into it. Then I will change completely my opinion of it. But he is the face of why we're moving on from science, and why we're moving on from scientists, and why we're moving on from knowledge, okay? It's not that this is better, but this is divine. This is universal. It's not our mind working for years, gathering a lot of knowledge and a lot of mathematics and equations, and then coming up with, oh, I'm so bright. You're so limited, Neil. You're extremely limited. You don't even know about it. And the problem is, in your limitation, you're not breaking that mold to see outside of the box how limited you are, because that's the moment you're really going to grow. So for me, he's totally useless. For me, scientists like that are totally useless. And that's why we're moving on from them. That's why the world and humanity is moving on from science. Okay, so they are very upset, and they say people like Terence Howard are dangerous, and because they don't want others to say, hey, wait a second here. So maybe there's something else. Maybe 1 times 1 is not 1. Maybe the universe is electrical and not chemical, and so many stuff, okay? So, next bullet. We humanity. Right now, year 2024, we're flat, linear, primitive, and basic. I've been saying this. If you have been for me for 328 episodes, I'll probably say this in 50 episodes, okay? And it's not a knock that we're stupid or idiots or, ignorant. No, no. Is within the system, we're actually overachieved in a way. I think it's quite surprising that technology we were able to come up with eventually took thousands of years, but eventually, and I'm talking going back to the wheel, that invention of very basic things that right now, all the way to iPhones and that technology we have. Airplanes are amazing still to me, and that's one of my favorite inventions of this technology, of this primitive technology. Airplanes are amazing. Of course, there are ways of not going through Newtonian forces and having to move through giving out like an engine works, that is basically a movement of air. And of course, it has to move. The airplane has to move because it throws air, and that's one of the basic principles of Newtonian physics. So airplanes are still amazing to me, incredible. Okay, I love aviation. I've done a few shows on aviation. It's just a favorite of mine. Computers, another one. My career has been IT. I think it's quite amazing what you could do with a computer, especially when you learn to code. It's amazing the stuff, the repetitive tasks you can do. And in my business, I developed the system that we run. And it's amazing that I have a few employees because, I probably replace 5 people with technology. And somebody say, oh, so you're into everyone. No, but I said many times, technology is not bad if it's able to work towards humanity and towards planet Earth and work within the boundaries of nature and all that. So right now, we're breaking this mold. And the Terence Howards in the world and the Harald Klaus-Wellas, all of these people are helping us break this mold. And we're going to go into stuff that our mind is not going to be able to even comprehend. How amazing, how simple, how effortless, no effort at all. It's going to seem like magic, okay? Like magic, like miracles. We're also, in a way, we're flat, linear, primitive, and basic because we're so obsessed with miracles. And in thousands of years ago, when other civilizations would visit us, they were more advanced, they were very surprised. Like, these guys are very, very, very impressed that we come in flying discs and that. What's going on? They're very primitive. Okay, so we're going to break that mold, okay? And we're going to understand our place in the universe, and we're going to understand this is all universe, given that technology is not something bad, as long as you work within the boundaries and the limits of the universe and nature. If we go against that, like nuclear energy, of course is bad. But nuclear energy, who gave it to us? Einstein, among others. It's flat, it's linear, it's primitive, it's basic, even if it seems so amazing, okay? Imagine I'm sorry, I'm going to call it stupidity. I know it's a little bit harsh, and I'll be a little bit judgmental, but imagine going through all that and creating such a negative energy when energy was available all the time. Just imagine that for a second. So next bullet, the universe is always moving, yes, and this unfortunately will crash this idea that the earth is flat and static and stuff like that. That was the first thing when I heard about the flat earth. The first thing was, so explaining how is this model, like, we're not moving at all and that. And then where is gravity coming from? Okay. No, it's a force, Okay. No. That, unfortunately, the flat earth, I think has to be a psyop. It has to be some kind of, comes from somewhere else. I don't know. But honestly, that's why I think. And also is within the boundaries of the mind. And, the mind is very protective. So that's why the Neil deGrasse Tyson and that, they get so upset when this is challenged. Because that's not them. It's not that they are, like that. It's not the personality, and it's the mind. The mind doesn't like the boundaries. Okay, it doesn't like to think there's a boundary there, that, there's some stuff I don't understand. That's so, that breaks so many directives of the mind. Because the mind, first of all, always wants to be right. And the mind always wants to be in control. And the mind always goes by the senses. And a lot of this stuff, I'm not going to see an electric universe. I'm not going to smell an electric universe. I'm not going to taste an electric universe. I'm not going to hear even an electric universe. But the mind, that's why the mind says, no. But with the chemical universe, of course we see it. Of course we even smell it. Of course we hear it. Of course. So that's why science, and that's why the mind loves this. We have a flat, linear, primitive, basic science because it's through the mind. It's not through our heart, and it's not through our divine connection. Okay. There have been a few scientists like Tesla, like Terence Howard, because yes, he's a scientist in my book. Like Harald Klaus-Wellas, yes, he's a scientist. Some say he's a journalist or stuff. He's a scientist. He's extremely, extremely advanced. Because they have opened their hearts. They have opened their hearts to the universe. It's amazing what they have done. Finally, Wisdom is infinite compared to knowledge. And this bullet is basically all the bullets together, okay? Why is Terence Howard brilliant? Because he has endorsed and accepted and let go to his wisdom, his divine wisdom. Wisdom is always divine. Wisdom is not from here. It's from creation, something you have in your heart, and it's your connection to the everything, okay? And I put infinite, is just to put a word that there's no comparison to knowledge. Not even comparison. So there's no comparison between Terence Howard and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Terence Howard is just a billion, trillion, infinite numbers of times more advanced than Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, so for Neil deGrasse to have a conversation with Terence Howard, Neil deGrasse will have to let go. Now, he has the same potential as all of us to his divine wisdom, but he will have to break the mold of his mind, of his brain, and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to listen to you anymore. This goes back to the beautiful metaphor of my very good friend Tony from London, that he says there's a rock out there in the ocean. That's your mind, okay? And the ocean is all this universe that we're seeing. And you're out there just grabbing to a rock because it gives you security, because you know the boundaries of the rock. You're limited in a way, but you're very concerned. And the rock is talking back to you saying, no, yes. Don't listen to Terence Howard. Don't listen to this, there are idiots. Come on, this is pure stupidity. And they just start laughing and stuff like that. Like the ones that made fun of Terence Howard, all the shows that made fun of Terence Howard. The joke is on you, okay? The joke is on you. Honestly, the joke is on you. So going back to the beautiful metaphor from my friend Tony, he says, then you let go and suddenly you're in the ocean, you're fine. You're not concerned if you're going to get to shore. You're not concerned when you're going to get there, what. You're just living in the moment, embracing the universe, embracing the wisdom. And you understand that all the time you wanted to let go, but it was your mind telling you, no. Don't listen to them. Stay here with me. And it's something that when you let go, the mind understands its place, and the mind is something that we have overachieved. It's a computer. Think of a basic computer from the 80s or 90s that has done incredible things. So I give that to the mind. We really have overextended the mind, and I think we're in the limits. We're in the limits, okay? And that's why the next step in science, the next step in technology, and the next step for the world has to be wisdom. And people like Terence Howard and Harold Klasvela, there are leaders that are going to take us there, but we all have the same potential. That's the beautiful thing about wisdom. I don't agree with knowledge that we all have the same potential, because first of all, all minds work different, and some minds have great capacities. Like in a computer, I got a basic one, I got a more advanced one, then your capacities are different. I agree completely. Some people just don't have a very high functioning mind. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's still fulfilling its basic needs, which is basically keeping your nervous system going, your autonomous nervous system going, and being able to operate your senses. And some people, for example, don't have their own senses. Some people are blind, deaf, and lose other senses, okay? Basically those two, which are the most important ones to be able to tap into science and knowledge. So yes, of course, Neil deGrasse Tyson probably has a high functioning mind. Great for him. He's going to stay there in those limits until he embraces his divine wisdom. So I hope you understand what I'm saying, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm very passionate about this stuff. This is the Terence Howard week. Yes, on June 14, Friday, we're going to come back with another show, and I have a support video on that one. It's of course not from the podcast because that's not allowed, but I have a support video about gravity, and that's very interesting, so you might want to come back. Thank you very much for watching. Please share any comments you have. Also, hey at the Alex Show TV, I answer all email, all comments. It's not that I get life of the small channel on YouTube. That's how it works. But I give you my all the time. Even if this is a hobby, I don't profit anything of this. I record this in my office. A lot of my friends and family don't know about this channel, but I try to give you like in this show, I gave you my intuition, my feelings. I don't have an agenda at all. So in a way, I hope you appreciate that. And if it was not informative, if you didn't resonate, at least it was entertaining. Of course, if this bothers you, stop watching this, unsubscribe from the channel, because I don't want to bother anyone at all, ever. All right, take care. Have a great Monday. I'll see you back on Friday with another Terence Howard show. Thanks. Thank you for making it to this part of the video. This is my favorite part. This is where I suggest to you that you discover your true self. You are not what you have been groomed to believe. You are this incredible being without limits that has eternal life, amazing strength, infinite wisdom, and a big, beautiful heart. All your limits are always self-imposed. Your best version of this reality is inside you. Your only mission on this life is to become a beacon of love and to serve others. This version is ready to be discovered today. How do you discover your true self? The discovery process is a personal one. No one can do it for you. Dedicate 5 minutes a day to talk to the universe. Simply ask, Who am I? Where do I come from? What is my purpose? You will start getting signs, breakthroughs, and signals. You will notice how your notions about this reality start disappearing. No more hierarchies, no more competition, no more complaining, no more depending on others. Discovering your true self equals to real freedom. Your self-imposed limits will fall and you will be ready to understand this reality, but you must be patient to allow others to wake up at their time through their own free will. That will be really soon, you will see, and that will set up a new world. As you work towards your best version, you will notice how all emotions don't serve you anymore. Hate, fear, rage, pride, lust, envy, violence, justice through violence, judgment of others, and other emotions will disappear from your mind and heart. You will understand those emotions serve only your egoic mind and are not you. Please try to be understanding of others that don't think or feel like you. Everyone has a process. No one is right or wrong. We're all just different. Don't be concerned about being right, ever. Don't allow pride preventing you from patching things up with family and friends. It is very important you enjoy this life with your loved ones. Put in the work to patch things up and leave it to others to decide. Thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe. If you have any comments or suggestions, please use the comment section below. For private questions, conversations, and if you would like to appear on the show, please email me at hey@thealexshow.tv. Thank you again. Please don't forget to visit our website www.thealexshow.tv. By giving me your time, you honor me. Have a very, very, very nice day.